going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we're going to be kicking off a new series here. As of late, I've been receiving a lot of requests for Synastry readings. I'm having talks about relationships in general with people. Not surprising, we're coming off of Leo season, having Venus in Cancer at the moment. And I've decided to do a series where rather than telling you the worst or most difficult aspects, rather go by planet. Talk about the worst and difficult aspects within Synastry by planet. Alright? So what I want to do here is I want to talk about the 5 most difficult or worst Synastry aspects you can have for your moon. And I decided to start with the moon because essentially the moon is one of the more important planets in astrology in general, but definitely within Synastry because the moon is our emotional response to others, how we nurture and like to be nurtured in return. It is our capacity to truly give, right? And bond. The moon is really essential within bonding with another. This is why, feelings, like sex is better with feelings, or, relationships are better with feelings. Now, mind you, as always, I don't want you guys to look at this in a limited way. Do not just look at this within the realm of romantic relationships, but rather relationships in general, whether it be with friends, co-workers, children, alright? And just try to understand, even if I don't use an example relating to friends, just try to understand how that can manifest, okay? But this is definitely to help those of you out there who seek to use astrology to really invite the correct partner into your life. So, let's get into it. The first aspect regarding the moon that is really difficult is the moon square Mars. And not even the opposition, but the square specifically. What happens here is, because remember, the moon is our emotions, and there's a thing you always have to keep in mind with Synastry: who's the moon person and who's the Mars person, because this is showing how the energies combat. The moon person here, anytime they express themselves to the Mars person gets defensive. This Mars person may not actually be a hothead in general. They could be like Mars and Taurus in their own chart and pretty chill. But when it comes to the moon person just irks them. And the Mars person can look at the moon person is just overly emotional, or always making them seem like what they've done is wrong. So the moon person might say to the Mars person, you speak a little bit aggressively to me. I would appreciate if you change the tone. You can say it just like that, and the Mars person is just going to feel attacked, like, what's wrong with what I said? So, it's one where it prevents emotional intimacy, because one person never truly is willing to hear out what the moon person is saying. And there's a consistent defensive and a tendency to get more angry at this individual than they would with another person. Obviously, whether it be whoever's the man or the woman, this can lead to domestic violence. So the Mars person might be a woman and the moon person might be a man. And that natural agitation that these planets create may incline this woman to want to be overly aggressive and even put her hands on this man. So it really creates a relationship that is, there are going to be constant bumps in the roads, because after you're with someone for a while, and they do something, if it's gonna be a successful relationship, you're gonna need to express how you feel. But it's just a constant defensiveness and agitation that can really escalate rather quickly, especially if there are other aspects that add towards that intensity. Okay, so we have that. Our next difficult aspect here is going to be moon in contact with Pluto. Now the thing about synastry is that whether it be a conjunction, square, or opposition, they all tend to function in different ways. So traditionally, conjunctions are the least volatile of the aspects. But when moon comes into Pluto, regardless, even if it's in good aspect, it just creates a power struggle where now on either side, maybe the Pluto person, maybe the moon person, someone has an upper hand in this involvement emotionally, where the things may occur and the moon or Pluto person gets upset or wants to cut off the other individual, and the other individual, even if they're in the right, might sometimes sacrifice and bend to the will of the person who has the upper hand power wise, and constantly give in to them. This can also be one that creates situations of secretness, secret activity. Okay, so the moon person can have a lot of things kept from them by the Pluto person. Okay, and the Pluto person might be just a little bit more inclined towards manipulating the moon person. But like I said, it can kind of go either way. This is also one that in the correct houses, possibly like an 8th house, a 4th house, the 12th house, this can lead to domestic violence. But it's a difficult aspect, because in certain situations there's a complete disregard for how the other person feels, and like I said, a manipulation there that overall just, even if the person being manipulated is trying their best, they can never do enough for the Pluto person per se. All right, so we got that one. The next difficult one is the house placement, and this is moon in the 12th. Now 12th house is very tricky, and I have a video, I'll post it at the end of this. I have a video about when a person's planets go into your 12th house. It's very important, because 12th house is a sensitive spot in the horoscope. 12th house rules secret affairs, unconscious motivations, and it is overall the blind spot. So when someone's moon goes into your 12th house, it creates an air of suspicion, distrust. Now this is why I say it's good. This is really speaking to the house person. More times than not, it's the moon person who kind of creates this ruckus. They're more inclined to keeping things from the house individual. If this is one where it's friends, right? Say you're a male or a female. Moon represents women. If this person is a woman whose moon falls into your 12th house, it's definitely one where gossip, betrayal is, emotional wounding is likely to occur here. And the another thing that really makes it so difficult is because the house person feels a strong bond towards the moon person. So them doing anything shady to them is the furthest thing from their mind. Hence it creates a big loop of deception. You know, I hate to use this example, but it's one where it's like, say, you know, you have a child here and someone's moon is in year 12. This person could be like they could be molesting your child, and you'd never think so because you feel such a strong emotional draw to them. But the moon person here, what happens is they just get presented with these tests or these situations in which they can create 12th house scenarios. And you know, then it just boils down to free will at that point. But in terms of a close, intimate relationship, it can just be one where the house person might not feel good enough. The moon person can be a healer for the house person or vice versa, okay? But this normally comes through some type of strife. Now, mind you, we always have to keep in mind other aspects. So it could be making some really good aspects from this 12th house. This can cancel out a lot of what I'm saying, but these are just things that I've seen come about. So that 12th house for sure. And if it's a family member, I would pay even more attention towards that. Okay. Another one, and this one is just like, for me, it's almost like a deal breaker, and that is moon conjunct Saturn. Having your moon conjunct someone's Saturn, or even squaring, but more specifically, I'm going with the conjunction here, is because the conjunction is one where the moon person is trying to make his thing work. They admire the Saturn person, right? But the Saturn person just comes off so Saturn. So it's like the moon person is looking like, hey, can you nurture me? Like, can I get some of this energy? But all the Saturn person can do is give it Saturn energy, which is tough love, you know? So it's like literally being with someone who believes like, okay, like, no, like I can't be affectionate. I can't be too, you know, warm. I gotta remain Saturn. And over time, it creates an emotional rift. The people, this can be, now mind you, because Saturn is a binding planet. So what happens here is that this manifests in complacency. People who are together for the sake of being together, but emotionally they are just not connected to one another. But more specifically, the moon person here is the one feeling the real ramifications of this alignment. The Saturn person on their end can really be enjoying the moon person and the energy that they express. Okay, the Saturn person can find stability in the moon person, but for the moon person, it's a little difficult. Unless, like, this is like Capricorn moon conjunct Saturn in Capricorn. That kind of makes it a little bit more, you know, easier. But house placement can lighten this, but it's still a difficult one. It's hard. It's the Saturn person isn't very romantic or warm and fuzzy. Okay. And the last aspect here that I find really difficult in synastry is when the moon squares Venus. And what happens here is just like there isn't really a place for the emotional expression of the moon individual doesn't necessarily line up with what the Venus person is seeking. And how the Venus person wants to go about the relationship doesn't necessarily make the moon person feel secure. So what you can have here a lot of times is that, what you find in this connection is that it's a lot of physical attraction. A lot of people just admire the aesthetic of one another, but when it gets close to actually bonding and building something here, it's hard to like get along. If it's a friend or it's like a kid, it's kind of just like, hey, yo, you want to go do such and such? I don't really like that. Oh, okay. Yo, but I want to go do such and such. No, I'm allergic to that, or no, that isn't my interest. It's just have two people who don't match up in the sense of harmony and you know, being able to flow. But more times than not, there's something for each individual to learn, or that they can embody. The planet person embodies something that the other should kind of seek to embody a little bit more. All right, so y'all, this was my interpretation of, you know, the top 5 hardest or worst placements for your moon in Synastry. Keep in mind, it's not like a 5 to 1. It was just 5 aspects that I feel like you should pay attention to. So feel free to chime in. Let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, you can do so now. If you need a reading, holla at me. Till next time, peace.